Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another 12 Days of Stitchmas 2025 video. Today is day 6, which features the adorable stitched polar bear. In my 12 Days of Stitchmas 2025 video, I am focusing on not only 2025 dies, but 2024. And yes, the 2024 dies do feature the stitched penguin, and I felt like our little polar bear and penguin went together perfectly. So we're actually going to combine them on the same card today. Sometimes I have 2 cards or more, and sometimes we may just have 1 depending on the dies. So today we are going to combine our adorable polar bear and penguin to create this super cute snowy friendship card. I've die cut all of the elements from cardstock and laid them out, and I have a really definite plan of where my card is going, and actually everything went together very easily today. So I always like to start generally with my background, which I do have off camera, but we're going to finish it here in a minute. But we're going to start with our stitching, because there is a little bit more stitching, I guess, on our polar bear, maybe than normal. It's a very similar, if you've stitched any of the other 12 Days of Stitchmas dies, where you kind of go out from an outside area and you're ending in the same spot all the way around. That is what we're doing here. I'm tying off my first length of embroidery floss because I ran out, so I'm going to have to get a little bit more. There is a lot of stitching all the way around, and it really creates a fun textured effect. So I've got some more embroidery floss, and I'm just going to stitch the rest of this and then tie this off on the back with a little knot as well. I'm using 3 strands of embroidery floss for my stitching. I always like to use 3, and I did use a whitish color for all of the stitching on both my polar bear tummy, the scarf, and the little tummy area of our adorable penguin. When we get to the end, I'm going to, like I said, tie this off into a knot. Then we're going to place glue on the back of this piece, and we're going to glue it to the belly of our polar bear. And when I do this, I like to use reverse tweezers to help clamp and hold that down in place. It does have a little bit of bulk, obviously, from the embroidery floss on it, and I always feel like I get a little bit better design, I guess, if you will, or a little bit, not design, but it looks better. That's what I want to say when I clamp that down. Now, alternately, you could die cut this from the belly of the polar bear and layer a couple together, a couple of die cut polar bears together. So you could die cut one of them like I did here, and then you could die cut another one with the belly piece out and then stitch and inlay it if you wanted to. There's a lot of different ways you can achieve this look if you want to switch that up. And then there are layering pieces for back behind the ears and the face. I'm so glad that Spellbinders has started adding those. I did a little straight stitch for the scarf. Unfortunately, that was off camera. So sorry about that. And then I inked up the cheeks with a little bit of pink ink, whatever was actually left on my little mini detail Spellbinders blending brush. And that little step really brings together the face for our polar bear. He is adorable. I have more plans and ideas for him, so stay tuned. He might be making an appearance in a future video. So next we are going to stitch the belly of our penguin. It is really just like the polar bear, other than it's a little bit more egg-shaped rather than the rounder shape from the polar bear. I've die cut this from some white Spellbinders cardstock, both the polar bear and the belly of the penguin. The penguin is the 2024 die, so you really get a lot of adorable dies. If you haven't already picked up the 2024 box, it is on clearance at Spellbinders, and it's a great time to pick this up because when it's gone, it's gone. And you can very easily, as you've started to see as this series progresses for 2025, I have mixed and matched the 2024 dies a lot of times into my 2025 projects, or just created a whole new project depending on what it is. But I think a lot of the pieces go together seamlessly, and I love that. I love when I can really get more bang for my buck, basically. Plus, the size and scale is perfect. One of the things about the the penguin, you have options for adorning your penguin, and the arms are a separate die. So if you want the arms to go up, like I did here, they can. You can also put the arms down if you flip-flop them very easily. But there is a hat, the stocking hat, which I did use for my penguin today, and there are little earmuffs. So I love that that really kind of gives you more options for creating. You will see the penguin featured again, I believe, in day 7. So stay tuned for that because he's just too cute. He's one of my favorites. I always am a huge fan of all like the little critters and things. Well, let's face it, I'm really a fan of all of the things. I mean, I was going to say that, but if there's books, mugs, maybe I shouldn't say that. I also really, really love the Santa from the 2024 box. And of course, we haven't opened up all of the images from 2025 yet, so those are still a surprise. Okay, just like I did with the polar bear, once we have the stitching done, we're going to add glue, and then we're going to glue this to the base, which I've die cut from black cardstock. That is going to give us the black of the eyes, so I don't have to worry about inlaying anything here. However, for the cheeks, I did die cut the penguin again using chiffon cardstock, and we will inlay the cheeks for the penguin so that he also has some little pink cheeks here to add that wonderful character. Then we have the beak and the feet die cut from terracotta cardstock, and we're going to assemble those as well. Glue those down in place. I love all the little detail and all the thought that goes into these Spellbinders dies. Something else fun about 2025 Polar Bear and the 2024 Penguin, each set actually features some snowflake dies. So if you're needing snowflake dies for any of your cards, no matter if it's a stitching card or not, I love that. So the 2025 comes with 1 snowflake die, the 2024 comes with 2, and I am going to use all of them to finish off my card today. I love that. Those are something else that can be used over and over again for all of your winter and holiday cards. And I do want to mention what I love about the Polar Bear and Penguin. With a few switch ups of sentiments, these could easily work for winter cards, which I love. So if you're looking for cards for after the holiday season, just simply take out any of the Christmassy or, holiday themed extras that I'm adding here today and switch up your colors, and these would be absolutely precious for winter birthdays, winter thank you cards, etc. So I am also going to incorporate, as I like to do in this series, extra dies from Spellbinders. This is the North Pole Sentiments Etched dies, and I'm going to create this little sign pole. I felt like it was the perfect finishing touch for my scene. It's a little red and white striped with a green top. So I'm going to glue that together first, and then I've let the glue dry on most of my penguins, so we're going to add the arms. For the signs on our North Pole, we are going to be using a little bit of ink to help distress them, to give them a little bit more of a wood type of finish with the layering, and then of course the solid piece for the sign. There's lots of different options for the sign, is going to show through the color. I'm inking up the edges with cocoa ink from Simon Says Stamp, just to, like I said, kind of give it that nice variegation in color, and then glue those in place and glue those to the sign. This signpost actually has, I think, 5 or 6 different greetings, so you can really customize it, and it does come with its own snowman and lots of accessories as well. So it's a great one to have in your stash if you like scene building, like I like scene building. One of my goals with any of my series like this on my channel is to really showcase other dies and and ways to mix and match what you may already have in your stash, or maybe you picked up earlier in this season or this year or last year or whenever, and incorporate them into your projects. You don't always have to use a die set just as it comes. Think about the parts and pieces, if you will, as individual. And just like in this case, this set comes with a snowman with that North Pole sign, but I'm mixing it with my STITCHMAS dies from 2 different years. Next, we are taking the Sparkling Snow 3D embossing folder, and I did emboss this on some white cardstock from Spellbinders, and now I'm inking the background and really bringing out the falling snow detail with Marine and Royal inks from Simon Says Stamp. And that's going to give us this beautiful dark blue background that I think is really going to make our polar bear and penguin pop. My whole goal for this all along was I want my critters to really pop against this background. Then I'm simply going to trim off about 3/4, maybe not quite 3/4 of an inch off of the bottom, just kind of maintaining the bluish background that goes from dark to light, a beautiful ombre effect. And then I am going to be placing this over another A2 panel, which will stitch a little greeting down below. I'm also going to be stamping a sentiment from another new set, which I will be featuring in October of 2025 in a video. There is a new collection of sweet little holiday critters, and they are stamp and die sets. Well, one of the greetings from the penguin set, it's called Cozy Waddles, which is so cute, is Snow Glad We're Friends. And that was the original sentiment that I wanted to use for my card, but I really felt like I could incorporate a little bit more into the design to make it a more complete scene. And that's where I pulled in the North Pole sentiment sign. So we will be stamping the rest of our sentiment down below. I'm using the sign less as a sentiment for my card and more as a design element in this case, and then we'll stamp the actual sentiment. I'm going to pop up my background with foam adhesive right over this background. You can see that I popped everything up with either foam strips or foam squares. And the top of my little signpost does stick off the top of my card just a little bit. Sometimes I kind of like that. I feel like it adds a little bit of interest. And then of course, we're going to go in with a white detail jelly roll pen and add some little dots to the pom-pom stripes to the brim of the hat, highlights for noses and eyes, maybe for cheeks as well. Not a ton, just a little bit of highlight to add some interest and to emphasize the beauty of these die cut images. Okay, once we are happy with how this looks, we are going to stamp that Cozy Waddles sentiment. So each of these die sets in this new collection from Spellbinders features a cute image, dies, and then like a little trio of sentiments, which I love. So I stamped with Lobster Red Lawn Fawn ink, Snow Glad We're Friends. And then we're simply going to pop up our panel right above that. And then we're going to glue the whole thing to our white top fold card base. Next, I'm taking all those snowflakes that I talked about earlier, and these are, again, both from the 2025, the polar bear, and the 2024 penguin sets, and I've die cut all of them from white glitter cardstock, and we're going to scatter those in the background of our card just to kind of help emphasize the falling snow. I love how it kind of gives that illusion of this dark, snowy, wintry night, I guess, if you will. And some of the snowflakes off in the distance, so they're darker, obviously, with the blue inking on top, but then we have the beautiful white glittery snowflakes here as well. And I did trim one in half, so it looks like it's kind of back behind the sign since I didn't glue that down first. Some of them are hanging off the edges. Once my glue has dried, I will snip the snowflakes off the edges, but I'm not going to snip the top of my North Pole sign. I probably could have lowered the sign a little bit, but I still wanted the Merry Christmas to be legible. I didn't want the top of my critters' heads to cover that up. And that is going to be it, friends. We'll add a little glossy accents to the face details and our card is complete. Thank you so much for joining me today. The supplies are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for joining me today. I truly love sharing creativity with this amazing community of crafters. A special thank you goes out to my wonderful Patreon members. I appreciate you all so much. If you'd like to join us on Patreon, you'll find the link in the video description below. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do and enjoy exclusive content, behind the scenes updates, and extra perks. There's something for everyone, and we'd love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.